Hey everyone, Corrie Thorne, the founder, the creator of More Than Existing, and also the creator of this podcast. She is more than existing. And this is the journey where I come in and I just be really, truly vulnerable myself and not all about the woo-woo part or traveling off. It is about being present, being in the now, about where we are, what's happening. And today I am doing this one a little bit different. They're usually always in audio, but I am sharing the audio and the video of the recordings because apparently some people like the video part of the recording and other people like the audio. So I will share both in the YouTube, and so that you can plug in, download, plug in and listen to the audio, or you can sit and watch the video, whichever makes you happy. So today's conversation is a little bit of a journey of where I have been. So first, I want to say that a week ago, I sat down and I recorded a podcast, and that podcast literally had no sound. It was probably about 40 minutes that I just spilled out my whole guts. Like I just let it all out, said what I needed to say, just kind of like real raw, and there was no sound. And so first I was frustrated, and then I just thought, F it, let it go. That was the universe saying, just shut up, Corrie. You just don't talk today. You don't need, this is not a message that needs to go out. But today I'm not feeling that way. Today I'm feeling like this is a message that needs to go out. I'm feeling like this is a perfect time to record this one, and to really truly be honest and authentic about, we are all real. We are all going through something. We all have something that's happening in our lives, and we all have to deal with things. And where I've been, why I've not been so accessible, why my appointment book has not been so available, why I'm not in so many sessions, why I'm not on so many lives, so many things that is the whys to why I'm not doing what I was doing before, was that I had a very strong intuitive guidance and a strong voice that says, you need to slow down. You need to stop and unwind and like unravel and look kind of through the scrolls of everything that you have downloaded, everything you have recorded, every message you've got, every book you've channeled through. I mean, I have journals on top of journals of sketches and writings, and you need to sit and start looking at your life and looking at where you have been and what you have done over the past 4 years or over this lifetime. Like, unravel it all and really go through the books. And that's basically what I have been doing, going through the books. And when I stopped, the life that I had been, chasing, just trying to keep at bay, it caught up to me, and life caught up to me. And when life caught up to me, I had to really face the things that I've been just trying to just keep going. And one of the biggest things was finances, and trying to keep the finances going and trying to keep things happening. And I had to really sit down and look at my life and look at how all previous versions of myself had constantly been trying to keep that life going, or what was happening happening. I don't know how to put it without, because I don't want to even judge myself. But I mean, there was a lot of things that I did in trying to make myself happy financially, or trying to provide for myself my life, like the life I thought I should live. And it wasn't matching. Nothing was aligning to who I really was and how I was living. So it was in the being pushed into having to find a new home and downsizing in house size and having to open up everything and then slow down, and being forced to slow down. Like, really, truly, my health, my body, everything just finally said, you know what? You're done now. You've done what we've asked you to do. You've completed a lot of what we needed of you, and we need you to be with you. And so that journey and finding myself in this And I think this is why I'm on camera, because it's so vulnerable. It is so real, and I'm still existing in it. I'm still very much existing in it. Today is one of those days when I am really truly sitting in this energy of acknowledging where I am and what I'm going through. Um and so that whole matching was that what I realized was that, I had so much pride and so much determination and so much, that I would never, that I lived by these, I would never run away on not paying something or leaving anything behind. So in finding that, I realized that, there was no flow of finances that could even stay in my life, because everything was still trying to make up for this past. Everything was still contributing to my past life. Everything was still giving to my past life. And I had to let go and let God. And I've had to give it to the universe. I've had to surrender it over. I've had to surrender into and really truly acknowledge this part that finally, when I had no other choice but stop, it caught up to me. And when life catches up to you, you have a choice. You either run again or you turn around and you face it. And I've made the choice to turn around and face it. And I'm facing a lot of things in my human world that are a part of your past. I've turned around and I've faced them. I am looking in the face of the things of that I didn't want to have to face. And or that I thought someday there's going to be this magic cure. I was going to win the lottery. Something was going to happen. But the miracle is me. She is the everyday miracle. You have to be the miracle in your life. And that miracle starts by us taking action. No matter how much healing work we do, we can do all the loving prayers, the meditation, we can leave and travel and astral travel, and we can still hope and wish and believe in, magic happening or other miracles happening. But the first miracle that happens is in us making the choice and the decision to actually turn around and have the courage to face ourselves, to face where we had been, but with the knowing that we're not that person. We are not the one. When we've done that work, when we know we've done the work, is that is the collateral damage that is left behind. That was us investing into everything that was bad debt, investing into bad relationships, bad places, that, bad debt. It was areas of our lives that really, truly wasn't us. And I carried a lot of shame. I carried a lot of guilt. I constantly was trying to make up for it. And in trying to make up for it, you're taking away your power. So I was literally taking my own power away from me. I was taking away my future, my possibilities, my opportunities, and so many things that I just wanted to be so responsible. I wanted to be that responsible one. But sometimes the most responsible thing you can do and the most caring thing that you can do is to have to reach out for help. And reaching out for help truly does help bring a change. Sometimes we're trying to fix our emotional sadness, our anxiety, those things in our life, and we don't realize that it is the elephant in the room that is causing us the most. And it could be a relationship, like a relationship with a person. It can be a relationship with money. It can be the old past. It can be these secrets that we're holding in that we don't want to reveal anywhere. It can be anything. But when we do not reach up and out for help and for guidance, we're always going to be in that role of being a victim or trying to be a survivor. And I didn't want to be a survivor anymore. I didn't want to just survive. I didn't want to just exist, right? I wanted to more than exist. And I wanted to be everything that I was writing, everything that I was believing in, everything that I believed I could be. But the elephant in the room was that part of me that was trying to be so good and so loyal and so overcommitted. I'm loyal to a fault. I was loyal to a fault, to debts that I couldn't even remember even making, investments that I didn't even know I even made, to interest and bills and debt. And it was in working with, stepping up and making the choice to work with a team that are designed. I'm like, God puts people in this world that have special gifts and special skills that can truly help us. And that's why these other things are there sometimes, is to help us, not for us to destroy ourselves further, but for us to be able to let go, to surrender into. So I am in that moment of my life where I am surrendering into and surrendering and making a choice that if I want to live a beautiful life, then I really truly had to break up with that part of that story and that part of me that I have to let go of. And so many people create so many stories and images of you, that you have it all, that you got it all, that you got life, and they tell us stories of, in their own heads of, oh, I wish I had her money and she charges this much money and she's got this and she's got that, and or he got this and he got that, whichever way it's going. And people really truly do that, and they build that reputation, they build that truth, and they tell themselves some stories so that they can hate you, so that they can judge you, so that they can be angry. Well, you do that to yourself as well. We do that to ourselves. We hate that it's done to us, but we do that also to ourselves. And so in telling myself the story of, but it's my responsibility, I am the responsible one, I am, I can do this, I can make this happen. But in the meantime, it was sinking so many parts of myself that truly was never, ever me. And that wasn't my path, and that wasn't my reality. And in now finding this path, like finding myself walking in this new truth, was that I discovered I did have a strength. I did have a commitment that I had signed up for, and that was to live free of the burdens, to not to be denying myself a good, beautiful life, or denying myself the opportunity to fully heal, to surrender into. Now, did I fully walk away from my debt? No, I did not. I found a way to create balance and to work with an amazing team to also step back into coaching, to step back into being coached myself, to really look at, I've explored the financial, the emotional connection to the energetic connection to money. But this new version of me, I don't know how to live in this way of, how do I move forward? And to make sure that I don't return to the old version of myself is to not to start instantly doing the things that I would have done before. And two opportunities or three opportunities arise this week for me to step back into an old version of myself. And first I said yes. And then quickly I'm like, that's temptation. That's easy for me to just, okay, I've done this, now I can go back to doing that. No, I cannot, because the original message that I received was that I would trust my intuition, to not to work so hard, not to, that life was going to help me heal my physical body. And that my health and my time are the two things that I cannot get back. Like you don't get another body to do it again, not in this life, not as this person. You get this body and you have this moment. And that's what you have. You have this body and you have this moment. And that's everything that you have. And what are you going to do with it, and how are you going to care for it? And so those were the things that I have to look at each and every day, and where we go and how we connect to ourselves, and learning to communicate to that doubt, learning to speak to that pride, to that loyalty that was the essence of the story, the narrative that was limiting me, that limits us, that we truly can be limited by those stories that we tell ourselves. I am so loyal, I am so kind, I am so good. Well, they are limiting stories, but they're also what I call, in more than existing, they're claim to fames. And we hang on to the claim to fames long after the fame has gone. So it's like a celebrity hanging on to the identity for so long instead of evolving. It's like, let's do Jack Sparrow. It's like, okay, you played Jack Sparrow, But who are you now? And that Jack Sparrow was a character. You played it, you created it, you brought it to life. But now you're not Jack Sparrow. And without the mask, you're this man and you're this person over here. And who is this person? And the elephant in the room is the character that you keep being, that keeps you imprisoned to that story, that returns you to the isms and the addictions and all of those things, because you keep comparing to what was. And you keep trying to be that what was. I am not the person who even somewhat remotely even has that amount of money to be able to sustain or keep up to that life that's been chasing me. And I don't have the capacity to work that hard to be that person. And you may not either. So if you're constantly trying to, you're shaming yourself now for who you were, then it's that constant self-defeating story, and you're always in survival mode. We may have survived trauma, hard times, difficult situations. We may have made it through. But the time that we spend in being a survivor, there's nothing, I'm a survivor of this, I'm a survivor of that. Yes, well, that has an expiration date. And then we have to thrive. So learning the power of thriving means that you stop, you unravel, you open the books, you open those areas, you open yourself, and you look in at your beliefs, at your behaviors, of your actions, of the way that you do things, the way that you respond, and you take that good look. And then you go, and then you're like, okay, let's circle that with red. And this is where I need to make changes. This is where I need to do something different. This is where I need to make those experiences. And by the I that we speak of is actually greater than the judgment of the little I. Not the you that did, but the I. Speaking to the power of the I, empowering yourself, inspiring yourself, say, I can do this with the essence of my higher self, my greater self, not my emotions that are going to beat myself up, but my emotions that are filled with joy and happiness, that I'm going to find a way, and I'm going to create a way, and I'm going to thrive beyond this. I'm going to make it beyond this point, because that just being the survivor of that, just making it through that, well, that's a cesspool of a whole story that has the past, the now, and the hopes of a future all combined. Well, let's take that and let's expand beyond that. And let's go beyond that again. And let's take this even further again. Would you like to go farther? Or would you like to push this a little bit more? Let's see if we can go from good to great. So I've done some really good things. I've even done some great things. But living just in the goodness, but also having to look over our shoulders, is not the way that we need to do it. The greatness comes by stepping up and using the other parts of our brain, right? Like really truly expanding that, practicing, developing a new way, a new habit, creating new habits, by first acknowledging, I don't know who I am. I don't know this version of me, but I really want to know this version of me. So I'm going to seek and search out finding that version of myself and being that version of myself, and finding, where else in my life am I investing into something that's not worth my investment? It could be friendships, it could be relationships, it could be projects, it could be anything where you may have invested a lot of time, but it's not serving your greater good. It was a part of the just trying to get by, trying to avoid, ignoring, which all tied into the escaping the reality that is your truth. And so we are denying ourselves to live in our beautiful reality because we constantly keep investing into the past by our behaviors of avoiding, neglecting, those, denying, anything like that. I'm just using those as an example, but it takes really truly breaking up and breaking out and being okay with being vulnerable, knowing what is sacred. Now there's a whole lot of my story that's very sacred, and it's for me and my heart only. And when I'm ready to share, I may or I may not, but also knowing that a lot of my time is what's become sacred. Because if I'm going to invest into me, I also have to include me in my life. and into that time, and taking the time to really truly sit with where I have been as I open up those books, look in at my life, explore them, see the things that I may have even wrote that were messages to myself that just were heads up, red flags, warnings that I didn't want to see. I didn't want to look at that time. And here, turn around to face one thing at a time. You don't get to face, don't try facing everything at one time. One thing at a time. And as I work through that, I realize that the narrative of this story has played out in so many other areas of my life. My worth and my value didn't match. And as I step into preparing next weekend to start the soul revival of the goddess within with the the confident, the confident goddess is, that shadows confidence and living in that false confidence and false truth that I'm safe, I'm fine, I got it because I got a roof over my head, I got this, is that. But on the other side, you're not safe, you're not protected, you're always looking over your shoulder, there's so many narratives. And so this vulnerability is also a confidence, because I am trusting that the divine essence of myself knows what's best, because obviously I didn't for a long time in different areas, knows what's best for my future. Maybe not perfect for the right now and doesn't feel right. It feels very hard, but knowing what's best for the future that I have not yet existed in. But the divine does know, because the divine knows my future. It knows my destined path, which is mine to walk, as is yours. So finding that and allowing ourselves to know that this may feel hard. This may feel like we're like ripping off Band-Aids and putting peroxide, that fizzy peroxide, that we used to just do to each other for kids for kicks to see if you fizz it up. and just allowing, yourself to do that, knowing that what you're doing is you're healing those, you're not just putting Band-Aids on those wounds, is that you're healing deep, deep down. And healing deep, deep down means not just finding another quick fix and then returning to the old. So this is not a quick fix. This is turning around, facing reality, looking at life, and doing the hard stuff to be sure that I heal, to do what I need to do to truly know that my worth, my value aligns to who I really am. But also knowing that I've been giving some very clear, knowings that my intuition and the things that I have said, oh, okay, never mind. I'll listen to somebody else, or I will deny myself my own intuition. I'll go against my intuition. Or someone would say, no, that's not what you're feeling, is not true. That would never be. Someone would never do that to you. So, and I would know it to be true, and I would feel it coming in. But I would say, no, maybe you're right. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I'm oversensitive. No, I know the power of my intuition. I know the good that it brings into this world. I know what it does. So if I can trust it for everyone else, why was I denying it for me? Why was I allowing myself to just push it down so that I could fit into the human world, so that I could somehow, maybe I was wrong. I was never wrong. I was right, but I didn't listen to the rights. And in not listening to the rights, I took a lot of wrong turns. I did a lot of things that I knew to be wrong, but I went those ways anyway in hopes that things would be different. And I was not wrong. So now following the right ways is recognizing that that was never me that was right. It was the essence of the soul, of my soul. It was the divine. It was the angels, the guides. They were trying to get me to stop before I reacted, before I did things. And so if something feels like it's impossible and you keep trying to force it or push it, don't keep trying to push it. Don't keep trying to make it happen. Let the doors close. Let the things go. and trust your intuition. The biggest keys that I can give you for this weekend is first thought, right thought. The identity and the story that you tell yourself about who and what you think somebody else is, wrong. That's the narrative that you are telling yourself, and that is something within you. That's something of yourself. Remember that, because then you're going to hold people to that. And in the meantime, on your end, you're going to be reacting, behaving ways that are to the narrative of that story that you've maybe have created an enemy, and you've made an enemy within yourself. And so being aware of those things are very important, because they do play out in your day-to-day life. They really do. And that when you stop doing that with others, and you stop judging, you'll stop judging others. The other thing is to stop running. Stop running. And that means stop having to be busy all the time. Stop saying, oh, I got this to do and that to do. Sometimes we need to stop and let life catch up to us, and then have the courage to turn around and face it, and to deal with it, to look in. So to be afraid of when your body says to you, you are tired and you need to rest, because it gives you an opportunity to be present with you, to unravel, to look in. The other, never shame yourself for where you have been. Never shame yourself for where you have been, because you will always be living apologetic. We have been where we have been. We have done what we did because we only knew what we knew for that moment. We are limited by our experiences. You did what you did based on conditioning, programming, the only way that you knew to do things. And now that when you know a new way and you keep repeating it anyway, then that's then on us. And so once we know a new way, and every time we continue that way, we know we're going the wrong direction. We know we're taking the hard lefts and we need to take the turn right, is that we know, but when we don't know, what we didn't know, we didn't know. So now that you know, we do better instead of shaming and guilting and denying ourselves. And so when we stop defending those old versions of ourselves and being defensive of it, we stop hiding. And we stop hiding behind the stories, the narratives that we try to tell ourselves. And we stop trying to be a superhero as if we can do it all on our own. Know that the most courageous thing that you can do when you are in that surviving mode and you want to thrive is to reach out for help, to reach out for guidance, for assistance, as my shirt was wide open there, reach out for assistance, for guidance, and to know that there is help available. And sometimes that help is in the form of God, the angels, the ascendant masters, Jesus, the holy realm. Like there's so much, the middle world, the elves, the dragons, the fairies, Mother Nature, the goddesses, whatever you believe in, is that you reach out with a conviction to say, I'm ready to surrender. I'm ready to surrender into this. I'm ready to face this. I'm ready to do what I need to do, and to have the courage to face those things and break up with the old versions of you. Let her go. Let him go. Let it go. She is her everyday miracle when she takes actions towards the changes that needs to happen in her own life. And that's the journey where I am right now, living truth, living honest, living authentic, and doing what needs to be done, but also remembering that there's a space of sacredness, and my sacred space is very important. My sacred world, and living and holding something sacred for me, and as is for you. And it's important to do that so that we can honor ourselves as valuable and honor ourselves as worthy. And that, our time, our health, those things we don't get to do those again. Caring for ourselves and health that encompasses a lot of things, including your body and your relationships, your finances, your personal health, your well-being, like everything ties into there. And your relationship to everything, your relationship to the energy, your relationship to spirit, your relationship to people, it all connects because we are all connected. We are all that oneness. And so if I am to love you, I also have to love me. If I love me, then I am to love you, because if you were to look beyond that essence of these separate selves that we connect to, that we are all of one, and we are all alike. How we treat each other matters, but it starts with how we treat ourselves first. Treat ourselves with love, restore that integrity, that respect, that sense of self-worth and self-care. And we will also then really, truly honor that within every relationship in our lives. Much love, and have a beautiful weekend. I hope this inspires or helps you in some way to become the everyday miracle in your life. Remember, she is more than existing. If you want to hear more of what's happening in my life right now, go to corriethorn.com and you can check out my new work. Next weekend on Saturday, there is the Psychic Awareness one-day class. And on Sunday, I start the four-week consecutive Sunday morning of the revival of the Goddess Within master classes that I do. And that one is a Sunday morning. I think it's 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that one is the Confident Goddess. And so the principles of self-esteem, self-awareness, and being very truly about reaching out and reaching into the world of where we left the pieces of us, the fragments of us that we're ready to bring home and back to us. And that one starts on the Sunday. So the 11th, Psychic Awareness, June the 11th. June the 12th is the Goddess Within, the Confident Goddess. That one starts. And so remember, if you can't make it to the lives, they are recorded, so you can get the recordings. And and if you're listening to this well after June the 11th or 12th of 2022, go to morethanexistingacademy.ca, and you can actually still get those courses, because whatever I teach live will also eventually come out recorded. But there's nothing like being in the live in the moment as well. So, but there's also so much free things that are also in the More Than Existing Academy. And I'm not the only facilitator. There's an amazing Lisa Richard and Michelle Gibson, who is also teaching some new classes that are coming up. Both of those ladies have amazing programs as well. Check us all out. We are there. Go to corriethorn.com and you can see all that I have. Also, my other YouTube channel, which has all my woo-woo, is Corrie Thorn. And that one is Corrie Thorn More Than Existing, or psychic, spiritual healer, psychic medium. However you punch it in, you'll get it. Much love. Have a beautiful weekend. And I will see you again soon. Keep on being the everyday miracle in your life.